What is going on YouTube? Running Gun Sports back here with another video. Today is our NFL Weekly News Update. Got a lot of news to talk about today, so if you have not, please subscribe, please like and comment and turn on notifications. If you don't know how to turn on notifications, just hit the bell on the top right next to subscribe, and we appreciate all the support. So let's get right into the video. J.J. Watt signs with the Arizona Cardinals, and it's brought up some controversial comments, I guess you could say, from Rams lineman Michael Brockers. Said, quote, "We all know who the real number 99 is," which obviously is Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald last year won the Defensive Player of the Year, as he should have. He had a great year. Aaron Donald's one of those guys, man. I think he's the best player in football right now. He just makes his teammates better. He's being double teamed every play, and his team's still so good, and he leads that great defense that they have. It's just the best defense in the league, in my opinion, and he just makes his teammates better. His teammates get so many sacks because of him, and that's just the best player makes your teammates better. So, J.J. Watt in 2020 had 36 tackles, 5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles and interception. And I don't think it's gonna be as big as a sign as people might say it is. I think it'll be nice to have the experience back there, but in all reality, J.J. Watt is pretty old and he's very injury prone, so I honestly don't see it being that big of a pickup for the Cardinals, but it's nice. And you have Russell Wilson, who's been kind of worried about getting hit, and when you have J.J. Watt lined up, I mean, that's got to be an extra concern for Russell Wilson to worry about. But I don't think it's as big as a deal as people are making it out to be. 2020 Comeback Player of the Year Alex Smith was cut by the Washington football team. 49ers are looking at two QBs right now, Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold. 2020 Teddy Bridgewater had 3,733 yards, 15 passing touchdowns, and 5 rushing touchdowns. In 2020 Sam Darnold 2,208 yards and 9 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. But Aaron Donald really does not have, or excuse me, Sam Darnold does really not have any help that Teddy Bridgewater has, Robbie Anderson, and I think that Sam Darnold, I don't think he's a bust, you could say. I don't think you can write him off as a bust yet. I think that the Browns are showing interest in him as their next quarterback, and I think if he gets around a team with maybe a weapon, not even doesn't have to be a top 10 receiver, just like some guys who can get the ball out there for him. The Jets are obviously a terrible team this year, 2-14. But I think that if he gets around talent, we'll actually find out how good he is and why he was picked so early in the draft when he was. David Carr says Raiders should trade for Russell Wilson. David Carr, brother of Derek Carr, right now the Raiders quarterback. Kind of interesting comment there. But yeah, I think Russell Wilson will not be going anywhere. But I think he did obviously say the Raiders was one of the teams that he would not mind being traded to. Right now, the Bears are the only team that we've really heard of this past week that have been talking about Russell Wilson coming to them. So I don't think it will happen. I don't really think Chicago's a good fit for Russell Wilson, but you never know what will happen. I think that Russell Wilson will stay for the remainder of his contract, which I believe expires in 2022, and then I think he might go somewhere else if things don't get turned around. I just don't see the Seahawks. The Seahawks don't have the type of money to really rebuild a team if Russell Wilson does let go, and that would just be a devastating loss for them. Bears release veteran cornerback Buster Skrine. The Browns are interested in him. With that release, the Bears collect up to $2.7 million in cap space right now. We're seeing a lot of guys being cut to clear up cap space, and right there, we'll see a lot of veteran guys go, like J.J. Watt, obviously, but he was just re-signed. Buster Skrine has been around for a while, so Vikings release tight end Kyle Rudolph. The Bills are showing interest in him as an upgrade from Tyler Kroft. I really think the Seahawks should be going after Kyle Rudolph. With the Seahawks in the market for a tight end right now, they've gone public about it. Gerald Everett, and they've been talking to him, Jonnu Smith, but Kyle Rudolph will be a lot cheaper now considering he was just released, and I think the Vikings, it's not too big of a loss for them. Irv Smith Jr. I think will do just fine in 2020. Irv Smith Jr. had 30 receptions, 365 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's just only his second year in the league. But I think that the Seahawks should really go after Kyle Rudolph and try and sign him because they need a tight end and they can get him for pretty cheap. And they don't have the money to spend. They're not like the Colts with $69 million in cap space. So we'll see what happens. The Dolphins are looking to trade linebacker Kyle Van Noy. The Raiders and Patriots are showing interest in him. Obviously, Kyle Van Noy had originally been with the Patriots, then he went to Miami, and the Raiders I think would actually be quite a very good fit. With their defense was just horrible last year. Just that Sunday night game versus the Chiefs where they had a shot to beat the Chiefs twice and they didn't because their defense just let Mahomes drive down the field in a minute 31 seconds with time remaining on the clock, a good 30 seconds. Their defense was just bad. They're young. I think they can figure it out. You got a lot of young corners, David Arnett and Trayvon Mullen, but I just think that having experience would really help those guys out a lot. Tyrell Williams, after being cut by the Las Vegas Raiders, is signed with the Lions. A lot of questions being raised about that, about Kenny Galladay's future. He is a free agent this year. There's talk of him being franchise tag. I think he will end up being franchise tag. And Jared Goff might have some pretty legit weapons with Kenny Galladay and Tyrell Williams. Patriots fans think it is time to trade Stephon Gilmore and to pay J.C. Jackson. Stephon Gilmore, the year before 2019, won the Defensive Player of the Year, and last year he did not look like the Defensive Player of the Year. We saw DK Metcalf just went off against him, and I just don't really know what happened for Gilmore. I think the Patriots organization obviously was very not a good organization last year, but they have Bill Belichick. They have tons of cap space, and a lot of their guys are coming back from opting out of the season due to COVID. So I think the Patriots will make the playoffs next year. We'll see if Stephon Gilmore is still around, with or without Stephon Gilmore. I think that they'll still make the playoffs. J.C. Jackson's a great young talent, 9 interceptions and 14 pass deflections this past season, and he's only 25 years old, so only up to go for him. 49ers center Weston Richburg has had another surgery. He's likely played his last snap with the 49ers. Pro Football Focus ranked him at the top of the 49ers cut candidates. He did have hip surgery, so obviously it does not sound like he will be around in San Francisco for very long. Giants cut Golden Tate. The Titans and the Packers are interested in Golden Tate. In 2020, Golden Tate had 35 receptions, 388 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Golden Tate, obviously very old. There's another talk that he is, quote, the perfect fit for the Seattle Seahawks, but obviously, if you know Golden Tate and the Seahawks, not a very good pass. You could say Russell Wilson and Golden Tate, wives and affair, something. Russell Wilson's old wife, Golden Tate, was cheated on his wife, and it's just very messy. And I don't really think that will go over very well. Golden Tate's not very the nicest guy out there. Well, he's just kind of a drama guy himself. This year, him and Jalen Ramsey got in a fight at the end of the game versus the Rams, obviously, and it was an ugly fight. But I just think that you don't want those type of guys around your team. He just causes too many distractions, and we'll see what happens to Golden Tate if he hangs up the cleats or if he is around at a different team next year. The Lions tell Desmond Trufant that he will be released at the start of the league year, which is on March 17th. So Desmond Trufant out of Detroit. Big Ben Roethlisberger takes a pay cut to sign a one-year deal with the Steelers. Obviously, last year, Ben Roethlisberger led the Steelers to 11-0. Then they took their first loss to the Washington Football Team. In 2020, Ben Roethlisberger really had a great year, considering the fact that he is 39 years old. Obviously, led that team to 11-0 start, which they took their first loss to the Washington Football Team. And ever since then, it was just nowhere but down. And just because they won those first 11 games, it kept them in the playoffs and kept them in the leading for their division, which they did end up losing to their division rival, the Browns, and they were really blown out of that game. It was ugly from literally the first snap of the game was a fumble, or excuse me, a touchdown snapped over Ben Roethlisberger's head. But Ben Roethlisberger, 3,803 yards and 33 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, so pretty good season. And I think obviously they just signed Dwayne Haskins, and I see Ben Roethlisberger can kind of mentor Dwayne Haskins like Mahomes had Alex Smith as a mentor. Obviously Haskins has been around for a couple years, but I think Dwayne Haskins has a shot to be okay. I don't think he'll be great or anything like that. But I just think that if he's got the right mentoring and can figure out the off the field issues, that I think he will be fine. Greedy Williams, the Browns defensive back, announced that he will be returning to the Cleveland Browns for the 2021 season. He signed an extension. Saints terminate contract for Jared Cook in 2020. Jared Cook, the tight end, 37 receptions, 504 yards, 7 touchdowns. He really had a fumbling problem in the last few years, and cut by the Saints. Another place I think that another guy I think the Seahawks could be going after, since they're so deeply needing a tight end. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know if he'd necessarily be a good fit for the Seahawks, but we'll see what happens. New York Jets are expected to place the franchise tag on cornerback Marcus May. There's been some issues with Marcus May's agent and him in the New York Jets organization, but if the Jets franchise tag him, obviously he'll be around for another year. Buffalo Bills extend safety Micah Hyde contract through the 2023 season. Micah Hyde, very good young corner, so that's a very great extension in my opinion for the Buffalo Bills. Speaking of corners, Denver Broncos place franchise tag on safety Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons, one of the more underrated players in the league right now. And the Broncos just really don't have that good of a team, but they're really young. I think that they're in a tough division just because the Chiefs are in there. But I think that if they can develop some of those young players that they have, we'll see what happens with Von Miller, if he's still around or not. But I think they can develop to be a pretty good team. They could probably make a wild card spot if they get pretty good. Chris Carson is expected to replace running back Aaron Jones for the Packers if Aaron Jones does decide to leave the Packers organization. That's been the talk right now. I think Chris Carson would actually be a very good fit for the Packers. Very similar types of teams, the Packers and Seahawks. Seahawks like to pass the ball a lot. Both have elite quarterbacks. Defenses aren't very strong. I say the Packers' defense is a little better than the Seahawks, but I think that would actually be a fairly good fit. They're not getting that many rushes. 2020, Chris Carson had 141 rush attempts, 681 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2020, Aaron Jones had 201 rushing attempts, 1,100 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Raiders release guard Richie Incognito. The Bills are looking to sign him in a reunion. Richie Incognito had previously played for the Buffalo Bills, so we'll see if he does retire as a Buffalo Bill. Jimmy Garoppolo is, quote, plan A for the New England Patriots. Jimmy Garoppolo played for the New England Patriots, backed up Tom Brady, and he came into the game where Tom Brady was suspended for the whole Deflategate situation, and played very well, quite honestly. That is why the 49ers signed him, led him to a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, did not win it for the 49ers, but still pretty impressive with Kyle Shanahan. They took it pretty far this year. Jimmy Garoppolo was injured. Just a tough year for the 49ers, but I think the 49ers are one of the better teams in the NFC when they are fully healthy. Former LSU running back and current Washington football team running back Darius Geis accused of sexually harassing a 70-year-old female security guard at the Superdome while he was at the Louisiana State University. So just not a good look there. Washington football team has not released anything yet. Darius Geis is still on the team as of today. We'll let you know if we find anything else about that. That is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did like the video, please leave a like down below and comment and subscribe if you have not already. Thanks.